Welcome to the Straight from the Source's Mouth podcast. Frank talk about sex and dating.
Hello and welcome to episode 43 and the season 2 finale. My name is Tamara and you're listening to the Straight from the Source's Mouth podcast. And Carissa is back and we're going to thank all of you for listening. And then we're going to talk about porn, sex languages, and attraction levels. If you like this episode, be sure to tell your friends about it and rate it as well. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks
again,
for having
Carissa.
me, Tamara. And I'm excited about the season finale. Finale, not finality. Yes, and thank you to all the listeners for tuning in and liking and subscribing. We really appreciate it. Like and share.
Yes, and I'm going to go through some of the stats, just where you guys are located. So we are, let me click on the right thing here. So again, we are in all the continents. We said that last time. Obviously more popular in North America where we are. And second is Europe. And then Oceania with Australia, New Zealand. And then Asia after that.
We're worldwide, Tamara.
And then, yes. Oh, actually, we just hit 54 countries. So it was 53 until today or yesterday. So we are now in 54 countries. So thank you very much for all you listeners worldwide. And some of the bigger cities are here in this area, of course, is the vast majority of the top ones. Arlington, Alexandria, Stafford, DC, Springfield, and Baltimore. And then outside of us, Portland, Oregon, San Antonio, Los Angeles. And I know Vegas and Las Vegas is next. Decatur, Georgia.
Everywhere.
New York.
Coast to coast.
So definitely thank you guys so much. And I hope you're getting value. I hope you're enjoying the different books we've recommended and the different topics. I know a lot of people say there's tons of topics out there. So that was kind of my goal.
Yeah. And if there's any suggestions that you'd like us to talk about, put it in the comments and we will definitely try and create an episode around that topic.
Yeah, and I also have my email in some of the episodes. So it's tamara@straightfromthesourcesmouth.co. And so if you want to email us to give us any suggestions as well. So yes, thank you very much again. All right. So next we were going to talk about porn. And the reason I want to talk about porn is because I read a book, or I'm still reading a book called To Raise a Boy. So it's all about just men's experience, especially young men today's experience. And one of the topics was, porn. We've talked about porn before. It's not realistic necessarily, but there are sites that are a little more realistic. But just the almost danger of men and young boys and boys only masturbating to porn versus, imagination, just anything non-porn. Because you might get to the point where you literally cannot do it unless you're watching it. And then you get married or have girlfriends and you cannot get turned on. So just, if you're listening to this and you're someone that does it a lot, even if you just take a break from it and, do it once in a while, consider it a treat or something. This book just doesn't bode well for sex
as a
lives
mom
growing up.
of a young man, I found out, I've had many conversations with him, very candid. That's the word I'm looking for. Candid conversations with him. He just turned 21. And come to find out, he was introduced to porn at 12 on the school bus on one of his friend's cell phones. So for all those moms out there with young boys, it's very appropriate to have conversations or have their dads have the conversation with them. And it's important that they're modeling that behavior and having that conversation with your children, because if you're not, it's very easily accessible to any device. They know how to clone their IP address, even if you've done, parental controls. They know how to get around it. There is nothing better than having the conversation with them. And so it is important because, one, boys want girls to be porn stars, and girls think that the only way to have sex is to be a porn star. And that's not reality. That's not a caring, safe environment for either party. So I think it's important to have the conversation both with your son, not only with your son, but also with your daughters, but most importantly, your sons. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that brings me to sex education, which we weren't going to necessarily talk about, but the book also addressed it as well. Just, schools aren't doing it as much anymore, or if it is, it's just a biology lesson. You don't get to, the togetherness, the consent where you actually enjoy it and want the person to have sex with you and they want to have it. And just all those things about, sex education and talking about protection and all that stuff very much earlier than you think.
And drugs.
And yeah, it's weird. But there are sites out there and sites and books and all kinds of stuff to get you to have the conversation and do it much earlier than you ever thought it was necessary. If you are a parent or become a parent.
Specifically talking about protection, especially for your boys, I know one of the things I said to my son was, he is an attractive young man, and hopefully I've raised him to be kind and generous to women. And, so there are girls who want to hitch their wagon to someone. And the best and easiest way to do that is to get pregnant. And so obviously, definitely, regardless of what protection the woman, I think, says that they're on, you should always wear a condom and protect yourself from accidental pregnancy and or from STIs. So I think that's a conversation in addition to porn that it's important to have with boys, because with all of the Roe v. Wade things that have been happening, I think it's a good time to really educate your boys to be a part of the birth control conversation. So because it's not just the girl's responsibility. There's two parties that are having sex, not just one. So boys need to take responsibility as well for birth control, not just it's the girl's responsibility because they're the ones that are going to get pregnant. So I think it's important to have those conversations and be really candid. I know it's uncomfortable. It's not an easy conversation to have, and they're going to be embarrassed and you're going to be embarrassed, but also make sure it's age appropriate. You don't need to get really deep into something with a 12-year-old. You just need to cover the highlights and make it a safe space so that they can come and ask you questions, not just, Yeah.
Although I'm not sure if 12 is, I would say that for 12. I think at this age, like you said, your son was introduced to porn at 12. So maybe you could have a little, deeper, like maybe not 8. Even then, when girls are hitting puberty, then I can't even believe it.
Age appropriate for that, girls mature much faster than boys, like, emotionally and mentally, and obviously with with everything that's going into our food these days, I think girls are hitting puberty significantly. I was 12 or 13, I think, and I have nieces that at 10, 11, and I was like, wow, that's really early. But I think it's important, just the words you choose and the amount of time should be age appropriate. Cover the topics, but you don't have to get into, every single thing. But as they get older, they'll know it's safe to come to you and talk to you more in depth about, sex and porn, and as long as you make it a safe space.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, that brings us to our next topic. I know we're just meant to cover just a little bit of each of these. So in our season finale, that's exactly perfect amount. And now I was going to talk about the sex languages. If you didn't know, there are sex languages, just like there are love languages. This was featured on Sex, Love, and Goop, which is on Netflix, all about the sexual blueprint. And there is a quiz you can take, and I can add the link to it. But it's 22 questions to figure out if your style is more sexual, kinky, energetic, sensual, or shapeshifter, she called it. I'm guessing that means like someone that's flexible or does them all, or likes them all, a little bit of some. But I personally am the sexual person when I took the quiz. So it's basically just being more into the physical body, like, all this stuff, like kind of, you can be turned on quickly, and the physical body is what turns you on, and just having sex in general is pleasurable. And I don't have the more information about the other ones necessarily. Obviously, kinky is, I've done plenty of episodes on that, BDSM and that kind of stuff. And you can have like, primary one and a alternative or a lesser one to kind of combos.
And I have not taken the quiz, so I don't really know what I am. But guessing from the titles, I think I'm kind of a combination of, or shapeshifter maybe. I'd have to really take the quiz, but
yeah, assuming that's what shapeshifter means, which I'm pretty sure it is, the combo. Then you would
come on, chameleon.
Yeah, and then I mean, you can tell by the title. There's a lot of people now that are energy workers and healers and that kind of stuff. So, and I know a guy who, said you can, like Reiki and stuff, you can put your hands over someone that is energetic like you, or if they are energetic, just putting their hands, you don't have to touch them, but just having their hands above areas will can excite the person who is energetic like that. And then sensual, I'm guessing, I don't have the description, but like I said, the quiz will tell you, is I'm guessing more like the loving, tender part of, that side of sex.
I think definitely putting the link in the bio would be great. And then, take the test, see what you are, see who you're compatible with.
Yeah. Exactly. It's good to know. I mean, and then like when we said we were going to have and haven't had the episode on libido, matching libidos or not, or when they don't match. So this would be another aspect of that would be helpful to know. So if you're someone that wants it daily and your potential new partner is thinking more like weekly, it might be an issue.
There's got to be a compromise in there.
Or nip that in the bud and find the next guy.
Definite communication right there. You got to definitely have that conversation.
Yeah. So the more information you know about each other, obviously, the better things can go.
I was just recently watching something, I think it was a small TikTok clip of a longer YouTube video. I didn't go to the person's channel, but like, here are the top 10 questions you need to ask somebody when you get into a relationship. And this was one of the topics that they said you need to talk about.
Yeah. I was actually going to bring that up too, but I forgot too much of it to say it. So I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah, it's the second time I've seen that person's TikTok videos, and they just make so much sense. And I want to say it's like Coach Joe or something is his name. But yeah, it was, like just really good questions to ask when you first get started.
Yeah. And I was like, how do maybe I need to screen record this so I can remember.
Yeah.
For my next relationship.
Yeah, actually. And I think I did send you that link, so maybe we can put that in the description as well. Because I think those questions were like
fantastic.
I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that would be perfect. If you knew that stuff about the other person, that would just be so helpful. And actually the episode, I just recorded the season or episode 42. It's all about the differences between men and women. So hopefully you've already listened to that and you found that helpful as well. But our next topic, speaking of men and women, is sexual attraction. And it started from watching Indian matchmaking, if you've seen that on Netflix at all. I totally binged the entire 2 seasons. And it's just a matchmaker. And it's, just because you learn about, couples and what things work and don't. And, you can kind of see stuff. So there was, and generally she said, all the men want women that look like actresses, no matter what they look like. And I was like, and I remember noting that like, that is interesting. I've definitely noticed that too. Like, why do guys think that? And then someone sent in a different Facebook group I'm in. They mentioned this whole paragraph about why that is the case. And that, they boiled it down to men are seen as high status or high value if they have done achievements, they have money and status and power. But women, on the other hand, in society, at least, women are seen as, their highest gift to the world is their looks, apparently, like a lot of society sees it that way. So, men aspire to want the most attractive woman, and they think they would deserve it if they have the high status, power, and money and all that. But we were talking a little bit earlier, and our philosophy is, what I thought was, the more attractive you are, you could get any of that. And then the status and the attraction for a man, if you have a lot of status, power, and money and attraction, then that's like pretty much the top of the scale. And then you go down from there. So did you have any thoughts you wanted to relay?
Well,
So
I read the paragraph just for everyone. So I find that to be a definite, it's definitely happening in the US, and it's also exactly what's portrayed in Hollywood. So you see a much older leading man, who could be in their 50s, but the actress that plays their romantic interest is like 25. And I find that to be really interesting, regardless of how successful a woman is. Even if they're still attractive, it's the younger, more attractive woman who's the romantic interest. So I think that's really something that's happening in society today. And I know as two, I say older, attractive women, I think we're attractive. And, finding a decent, normal person, and we're both very successful in our fields, they don't find value in that. And, or it could be somewhat intimidating if they're not as successful. So I don't know where the balance is, but I agree.
Well, I will say on that comment you just made, I would say unattractive people find us attractive. Because they're, of that age group, and that, they can't get the younger girls necessarily. So they aspire to the attractive older women. I don't know. This is going to sound like really conceited, but that's how I see it. Like it's, all men want attractive women, and they almost feel entitled to it, especially if they have the status and the power, and they just can't understand why some women won't be attracted to them. But we are becoming more superficial / we want attractive men as well. Or, I guess everyone wants an attractive person. But if you are a 5, you should probably not aspire to a 10 or a 9 or an 8 even. Like, you can aspire to that and be lonely and alone, or you can go for someone who is, more equal in your looks. And that sounds superficial and terrible. And obviously there's, people should, personality and the way you are made to feel and all that kind of stuff, is obviously key as well. But if you're going on just the looks like this article talked about, or at least for women.
Well, and I think the key point that I think we're trying to make maybe is boiling that article down is that regardless of the physical attractiveness of the man, they see value in all of their own accomplishments and success, and on multiple levels, they see their attractiveness. They see that they have value in these multiple areas. Whereas when they see a woman, they only see value in their attractiveness, not in the other areas that men are judging themselves on as seeing a value. So that's kind of boils that whole thing down.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. That's what I was trying to say and going for. And that's what the article says.
I'm here to help.
Yeah. So men just, they are so sure that their traits are the attractive part where they can get anyone they want because they have all the values, that it's seen as men having those values.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Right.
Basically what you said.
So hang in there, ladies.
So I'll stop trying to repeat it. Yeah. I mean, it's coming around, like when they can't get those women anymore, or they finally realize that, it's awesome to have those traits, but not every woman will go for it if the looks aren't included, or at least, being treated well and all that stuff, which they may treat someone well. But once again, you said it.
Men,
as the article is intended,
be more open-minded. Don't just look at someone's physical attractiveness. Look and see what's inside their heart and all the other points of value. And women, hang in there. It's not a lost cause.
Yeah. And I'll go back to my statement. If, find someone your equal attractiveness level, if on just based on physical stuff, one of the shows I mentioned, Indian Matchmaking, the guy was, on the lesser attractive side, not like a bad thing, but the woman that they chose was very much his equal, and they got along great. And, I think they're going to work out. There was another guy who was similar looks wise, maybe a little better looking, but the woman that was his match, I thought attractiveness wise, and they got along really well. He thought he deserved like the hot chick, and so needless to say, she set him up with the hot chick, and she immediately was not interested, because she was hot and he wasn't, and he was like confused. And that's where this whole topic idea came from. Now that I sound sufficiently superficial and
now that
rude
we've beaten that dead
and all that
horse
stuff, that's not what I know. And And that's not, I mean, I've preached most of the time over this podcast that it should be about personality and all that kind of stuff. And, just two people's connections, having shared values and compatibility, the attachment styles, love languages, sex languages, all of that equaling out. And all of the experts I've had on, we've had on, just, reach out to any of those that, speak to you and can give you more clarity. So I just want to basically thank you guys yet again, unless you had more to say.
I think we've kind of covered a lot of topics. I think 3 or 4 topics in this particular episode that, I think one, I'd really like to thank everyone across the world for listening and partaking in this conversation. I think it's very important that we take this topic out of being taboo and making it a safe space to talk to each other about, and not just to, your closest inner circle. And 2, I think it's important, send a message or a comment below with any topics that you'd like to hear in the future. And we really, really appreciate your liking and subscribing and sharing on whatever platform you're listening to here. So thank you so much, everyone.
Yes, and actually, rather than try to repeat that, I will just go with what you said at the end, because that's exactly what we need to say, is thank you very much.
Yes.
And what Chris has said.
Well, we appreciate you all. Have a great, I don't know, when's going to be our next season start? Okay.
We'll have to see on that. It's up in the air right now, but hopefully there's enough prior episodes to go revisit before season 3 comes out.
We'll talk to you in a couple of months. And if you have any questions, send us an email, like I said. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you again.
All right. Thanks so much, guys.
Frank Talk, Sex and Dating educates.